What up, everybody? I want to say thank you for listening to this brand new episode of the No Rhyme or Reason podcast. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in to our show. But there's a small problem. We need you to subscribe on your device, whatever it may be, whether you're checking us out on YouTube, whether you're checking us out on Facebook, no matter where you hear this, subscribe or follow the podcast so you can be alerted as to when we create a new episode for you. We've even added a link down in the description for you where you can just by one click subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Just in case you miss it, you got something going on, you're busy, we ask you to subscribe to the No Rhyme or Reason podcast. Enjoy the show. Yo, you are now tuned in to the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, presented to you by On The Map Music Group, featuring Icarus Gray, and I'm your homeboy WordPlay T.JAY. We deliver to you a dope conversation where we talk about everything for no reason at all. Tune in every Monday to join in on the conversation. And without any further delay, this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast. And we're live.
What's up, people? It's your boy, Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy, Wordplay T.JAY.
This right here is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Where we talk about everything for no reason at all. Man.
Today we are about to talk about the future, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Should we recap any holiday things?
Yeah, right. Real quick, I hope you guys had an amazing Hanukkah, an amazing Christmas, and currently, for those of you celebrating Kwanzaa, I hope you're having an amazing Kwanzaa. And Chinese New Year is anyway. There's a lot of celebrations going on, and I'm like getting mixed up. But I want to shout out to each and every one of you during this holiday season. And
yeah, definitely.
I want to hear about it.
New Year's is coming up, so 2018 season, I think people are starting to talk about that now. Their resolutions, which they'll hold for approximately 2 days. But
I give y'all a week. I give y'all a week.
But yeah, that's coming up, and that's sort of exciting to you all. And yeah, I hope your Christmas was nice. I hope your Hanukkah was nice. I hope your Kwanzaa. This is what day of Kwanzaa? Technically,
I want to
the
say
third day.
I feel like the fourth
Starts on the 26th.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't have me misquoted.
It definitely starts on the 26th, for sure.
So yeah, so it's just the third. Yeah. So I'm off. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, happy third day of Kwanzaa to you all.
Word. I think that day is Unity, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that's
shout
not here or there. Yeah, I saw it on social media posts. I cannot remember that far back. That was a long time ago. We're not talking about that,
dog,
because it was a long time ago.
But today like I said, I was Friday Night Live. Yes, sir. Friday Night Live episode.
Yeah. Nobody's expecting us to record on a Friday night. This is not a regular thing. We're doing this because Saturday's free sounds good. So there you have it.
Yeah, and we normally do this like when we kind of got like a weekend thing that we kind of got to do. So we want to give you guys an episode. I mean, you still get it regularly. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the past, present, and future of a Kanye West.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. So maybe, do you have
I do.
Jumping point?
Where I want to start
about
is
Kanye West.
His general impact on the game as a quote unquote backpacker. and me and you have talked about that because that spurred a lot of what you and I are able to do now. It spurred a lot of acts and, you know, the Gambinos and the Drakes and other people of the world to me.
Yeah.
Yes. To answer your question,
Dang.
Brian, yes.
Why I do that? So yeah, like, okay, so if we're starting with his impact on the game, let's talk about being a rapper in the first place, like, and what he did for producers and rappers, and then we'll talk about what he did for the public.
What he did for rappers was for a long time, and there are rappers who are more like me and T.J. that came up in the 90s, like Tribe Called Quest and um, Atmosphere and people like that. But there was not somebody.
Wait a minute, those references are really really wide. You get Atmosphere and Tribe Called Quest. I just think about like their impact and just the nature of the music that they make. Like they're a similar type of person. True. When I think about it, I would not play a Tribe track and then an Atmosphere track right after it. So I'm thinking like with the DJ mindset.
But like the reason I mentioned it because I remember one time I was watching Dead End Hip Hop.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, it was years ago, the impact of Drake. But it was like, you know, there have been rappers who have talked about their feelings prior to Drake. And they mentioned Atmosphere as one of them. And that's kind of what I mean in that nerdy kind of sense, because it's normally a nerdy thing to do it in the way that Atmosphere did it and do it in a way that, you know, or do it the nerdy way that Q-Tip. Like Kanye is a male of that kind of style.
Talib, early Eminem, those Raucous mixtapes, you know, all of that stuff, that type of vibe to it.
And he ushered it in a popular mainstream way for rappers. Like I remember being like, you know, I didn't want to be a backpack rapper, but I also thought it's okay to be thoughtful and lyrical and use soulful beats in a non-gangster, like he was making music for you know, people like us.
So there came a time where if you didn't do what you were saying in your raps, and if it didn't sound hard enough, then people would look at your music like, yo, this is weak, turn it off, it's whack, I don't want to hear it, and let's just move away from that, because I don't know, popular culture tends to lean towards the let's have fun, let's not think about stuff.
Right. And with his first song, not only is he vulnerable after a horrible car wreck, you know, he decides to do this song anyway, and he just it was the amount of vulnerability that it showed again for artists pushed forward a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen before. And on top of everything, he was producing. And we'll get to that aspect of that impact too. But to be what he was, like when it all the Through the Wire, All Falls Down, and then listening to the album and playing songs like Spaceship and all this other stuff, it's like it was the first time I listened to an album and I was like, this is what it would sound like to just be yourself, to not, like, I'm not listening to this feeling like I gotta go flip a key when I get done, or I'm not listening to this, I'm listening to it feeling like, oh, I have stories similar to this. I have stories that resonate on
regular people, black shit. Right? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yes.
when you listen to that album, you're like, oh, I'm black, and I've gone through that.
Yeah.
That's what that album feels like in a phrase, you know.
Right. Regular black people shit. Yo.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. And what's funny about that is that's why it's
mixed
so
with the perspective
classic.
of being the outsider in the family, right? Because
Dog,
being
yeah.
an aspirational person in a black family, not to say that black families don't have a lot of aspirational people, it's just
Mm.
when your goals are that big, everybody in the family is going to look at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Right. And on top of that, you're also in a place where you're trying. I've told this about you, and I say this about my wife. There are people who are giant killers who look at something and say, "This is not right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how this looks. I want to do something new. I want to go into uncharted territories." Those, that's who he was for artists,
Yeah, not
and
risk avert.
not risk avert. He went full. This is me, like, and I want to change things. I want, like, the things that I produced and the things that I rap are all woke, but it's not like fuck you woke. It's I know myself and I love my culture, and
Yeah, he's just describing what he's going through, which is not a. It's not even a woke perspective because it's not recommending that you do anything
exactly. And I was just
with
about to
it.
say,
It's
um,
just a description
hold on,
of his
Brian made
everyday.
a great point
Who?
that I wanted to say to you, and it's Brian Bankhead.
Uh huh. Okay.
Um, that it's just like you,
Uh.
because I remember, and even the Kanye thing, like the parallel is when you first started singing before you started rapping.
Yeah.
I remember, like, even me being like, well, trying to make you the hook guy or
Yeah.
something like that. Before it was like, like with Kanye, like everybody probably would have seen him as the beat guy, the outcast, this, that, and the third. But then it was like, no, I'm not that, and I'm going to do something different. And not only did you do something different, you broke through that barrier. Small side note, like today I was going through my old emails trying to look for a song or something.
Uh huh.
And I go through and it's like 2010. And I'm seeing all of these emails, OTM Outlook,
Uh huh.
for the next year and all this other stuff, and how we've always worked this way, and how you've always been, you know, uh set up in a way that's built for success.
Yeah.
But and yeah, and Kanye just kind of in that similar way was just like, I don't care if you think it's weird. Like I want to wear Ralph Lauren and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to wear my pants down here. Like I want to, I'm gonna do some nigga shit. But
Well, we all do it. So that's the
it's
thing
just
is that
balance.
even when you're the artsy kid, you still fall into that place where you're just still black. You're still black. Like,
What up, Tim?
and you can't hide that from nobody. So this is the thing I think about with Kanye West is that his work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder about some artists. I wonder how they see themselves
Mm-hmm.
because they do a similar thing Kanye West does outside of production. There's a few people that do both, right? And have done both. RZA is a great example of it.
Prime example.
But there's a lot of folks, say for example, Talib Kweli, right, where you
Right.
see that they have super talent as far as rapping is concerned. It's just that I don't know that they aim like over the mountain. Sometimes the mountain is just to conquer rap as a category.
Right.
The next mountain is to conquer pop culture. And the next mountain is to, I don't know, do something with the government, or, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the
The
everyday
the
person.
the stepping stones of success. And the thing about Kanye in this regard is he's always thought that way. And it's like you initially probably couldn't see it, like unless you were a creative and you just understand how creatives work.
Mm-hmm.
So you see this, the way that he was making music, you see the way that he was producing beats, like you knew a Kanye beat when it came on. Um, and it just felt chilling because there was something about the way he sampled, he took the soul of what that song was, poured it into a different song, and made it something so pure,
Mm-hmm.
like a pure emotion where every rapper that rapped on it or around it, like I remember the resurgence of me realizing Twista through Kanye.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx said, I think like when he did Overnight Celebrity, or not Overnight Celebrity, Slow Jams, um, it was like, oh, I want to hear more of him singing.
Yeah.
And then he dropped his album, the
Have you
John
heard
Legend
some of his
album.
early placements, Rockefeller placements,
No.
like Beans
Mm-mm.
and okay. So yeah,
Uh,
that and
the Dynasty, didn't he do the Dynasty beat?
he did, yeah, he did a beat on Dynasty. And then he did a lot of production on Blueprint.
Yes, now that I know.
And Blueprint 2. And then his thing took off. So like I think about those early production styles,
Mhm.
and I didn't know he was mentored by No ID, but when I listened to No ID, I understand where Kanye learned a lot from. And if you pay attention to the styles, they're very similar. They're very similar, especially the root of what he did. It's just Kanye, he knows what to do. He almost stumbles upon the right way to flip a sample, right? He doesn't
And it's
he
so
doesn't quite
crazy.
create it. And some people, I think they believe that artists work in a way where we just sort of are these technical geniuses and we know exactly, so whatever's in our head is what we put on especially producers. It's
Mm-hmm.
not what we put on it's not what we have in our head. Maybe when we're sampling, we can hear something because we've done it enough. We know how a certain sounds sped up or slowed down. So we know which samples to slow down and speed up. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times, the sounds that are usually the core of a song or that drive a song tend to be accidental. And the additions are also accidental. You just kind of cycle through enough things to where you know this is how I feel. And then only when you get to sort of like the end of the beat or certain drum patterns, only then do you really start placing things purposefully.
Right.
So the whole process is an accident up until the end.
He makes it seem, and not only does he stumble, when you stumble into these realms where, like I said, you get this whole nother existence of songs
Mm-hmm.
that came from a completely different era, that had a completely different purpose, that had a completely different meaning, but you literally take the soul out of it and put it in, a much higher intensity.
Yeah.
Because like when you sit there and you listen to um overnight celebrity, or even through the wire,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. When you flip that song, like I guarantee you, if you listen to the song that's sampled from, none of what you feel from Through the Wire is the same as the original song. Like none of it, and it can't be. But he found a way to make it his own. And I know sometimes, and the thing that used to piss me off is, and it would mostly be a certain type of people, but they would complain about him using samples. And I can understand it from the viewpoint of the artist. I can understand it from a certain viewpoint, but I
Oh, you
also
mean
understand
older
that
artists
yeah,
sample?
older artists.
Okay.
Yeah. But I understood it from the standpoint that that's what rap has always been. We took the samples and from whether it was a drum kick, whether it was the
Yeah.
chorus sped up, so on and so forth. That's what hip hop is,
Yeah,
and we
that was
speak.
that's mostly a
So
payment problem though. That's
yeah,
usually a problem routed to money.
um,
Almost exclusively routed to money because
well,
9 times out of 10 the label would get the like then they add on the top of then they add on top of it I don't like it.
right. Well, the people like I remember when Stronger came out, and the EDM crowd or whatever, like I don't know, or not the Daft Punk ish crowd was pissed. And like on top of you already not liking Kanye at that point, given the whole George Bush thing and everything that else that happened, now it's like you're trying to call him not an artist or not someone and not this way. And it was like it was frustrating because I know the difference. Like, and I know that resonates, differently. The song resonates differently with somebody. And when they hear it, they're like, oh, I was expecting to hear so and so. And now I'm hearing this that I don't really like. But
Yeah, but when you get
it's
to that level of popularity people start taking it personally what you do as a creative person, and
right.
that's not their business.
And I feel like his way of like taking these building blocks, because that's what they are. No matter what song you put out, and I do understand, again, you want to be paid as an artist. You want, if you made a song for it not to be used, but you making this song as a service. If Rain, the song you made Rain with my verse sampled all throughout it or whatever,
Yeah.
it was for a purpose. Like I'm not upset, and it wouldn't matter whether you pay me or not. It's
Yeah.
a dope song, and it adds to what you were trying to say. And
Yeah.
I know, again, that's a selfish perspective, given that like I said, I enjoy sampling, and I also know 100% how good you are at it.
So
And
that
it's one of
was
those
that
things.
was the
Yeah,
thing
go
with
ahead.
Rain is that kind of proves my point on the accidental part because
Right.
what I asked you to do was kind of rap on it,
Yep. Give you
and
eight
what would
bars.
end up
That's all you did.
happening is that I just sampled part of your rap.
And that's the beauty of what he did. And think of like how many stumbles he had.
Yeah.
Like amazing stumbles, not just like a stumble where, okay, I ended up here and it's fire and everybody loves it.
Yeah.
He created, like I said, moments. He created waves. He created inspirations. He pushed things forward
Yeah.
for artists and producers.
Yeah, because hip hop
Because
tends to get in a rut, and
yeah,
that, most music really tends to get in a rut where a thing is very popular for a long time, and we will beat the hell out of it, whatever that thing may be. Auto-tune being one of those,
right.
or just the amount of auto-tune that's being used on a specific track. And he went
He
and at the height of it turned it into something a little bit different.
What's funny about that is I was just talking about that today, about auto-tune and the people who use it great. And the list is fairly short for me. It's T-Pain,
Of course.
Kanye, um, Travis Scott now for the newer age, and Future. And the reason I say this is each
What do
one
you
of
think
those.
about Wayne?
I mean, I don't think he did anything like special with it other than rap and just
Okay.
use it.
You
Like
just think it was on top of it
the thing that Kanye
because
and
he
them
likes it.
did, right? The thing that Kanye and them did, Kanye and the rest, you can make auto-tune work really well for you and be your own voice.
Yeah, the
A lot of
voice
people
is just a different instrument on the track.
yeah, a lot of people just turn it to make them sound okay. But like, you know, a T-Pain track because not only does he cater it to himself, he then adds melodies. He adds different vocal points. It's not just I got it here and it's gonna correct me to G no matter what.
Yeah.
Future, it's like I can do this, the same rapping voice, and it's unique to me. Like, my sound. It's not drowned in the fact that everybody can do this. I'm still using my voice. I'm allowing this tuning instrument to increase my voice as an instrument in a unique way, which is why Travis Scott is so hot for now. Is because it's still unique, even given it's like he took what's the dude? Oh, Pop Champagne, that dude. I can't think of whatever his name, but him. But it's like he took that and made it into a whole nother wave. And that's incredible. Like, and I think you were gonna go into because we pretty much talked about what Kanye did for rappers, but I think there was another aspect of it what you kind of wanted to.
So we talked about how he sort of stumbles into things, and so what I wanted to talk about next is how I don't think he stumbles into controversy. I think he creates it. I think it's very purposeful. I think that Kanye West knows how to leverage attention because the first time he got attention, it worked for his career in a positive way. Could have been the end of his life, tragic enough, but he twisted it into something that would work for he at that point in time, he learned how to leverage attention, and he did the perfect thing with it. He saw that all of the news was talking about his accident. And so what do? You make a song about the accident. And then you push it out. It's freaking genius. And so the next time you come around, you have a thing going on. Anytime you're in the public eye, you have to sort of leverage that big spotlight that you have. And even though he's done it on purpose, he's using his real life problems to be controversial. And it's not to sell more records. It's just to keep the attention on him.
And the thing about that, and this is why I was saying, like, it's such an odd thing that, like, while I know in him, he's too calculated everywhere else for this not to be calculated too. But it's also, he tells you everything. Power in and of itself. Like,
he tends to project everything that he thinks about. Yeah.
He's saying to you that he knows what he's doing and what he's going through. But it doesn't mean he's going to stop. It doesn't mean, and I think that was the greatest thing that I was telling you was he pushes through that. Because even though, like, it's times where I'm like, man, Kanye, if you don't sit down somewhere, and everybody's saying that, the whole, it ain't Ralph though, houseway, like all of that.
Yeah. Real quick in the comments, what's your favorite Kanye West quote? And we'll just go from there. See what that is.
George Bush hates black people. Or George Bush don't care about black people.
Yeah. Now that we have 45, I think I kind of like George Bush a little bit more now.
Which is the craziest thing in the world.
It's
I
like
think that's
George
funny.
Bush
Yeah,
was
you
not.
thought I was bad, huh?
Whew, yeah, I don't want to go there.
But yeah,
So
like
controversy, like
he
I
he
don't know if we
feeds.
can map it, but the George Bush thing, was that before late registration or around the time of late registration?
I feel like it was. I feel like it was before.
It was after
Cause
Katrina, so it's 2005,
so
and
okay.
late
So when did
registration maybe came out in 2004, if I'm not mistaken.
so it was after. It was definitely
Or was
after
it
because that
late?
would have been the only reason he was on TV.
Yeah.
Um, he he. It's times where again, like I said, that I think he's connected to a different stratosphere of thought. So when you're a creative, there's you tap into a source. Whatever your source is, whether it's religion, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is for you, you tap into it.
Yeah.
If you don't recognize that you're tapping into a source, you're going to drain yourself out because it's going to be too much for you. It's going to overload your sensories. You're going to end up doing too much. You're going to go further than whatever because you're able to see everything like Ultra Instinct on Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
You're just moving stuff out of the way and you're just moving. But sometimes, like, like in the anime, you end up tired. And in those moments where you're tired, that's when things kind of happen, and whether good or bad. And I feel like those are the times where he ends up in that place because he's, kind of overloaded himself. And so he, as we see, acts his life out in front of us.
But he's
And
like a
what
little
that,
kid, right?
yeah, right.
And in that way of being a little kid, he essentially just takes everything that he's doing, and I don't know, when you're with a little kid, they say whatever's on their mind. They have no filter until they get older. And so if you take the mind of a little kid and over time you age that kid up, but over that time you never had anybody saying, hey, you shouldn't say that to people. Hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. All these other outside no-nos, these slaps on the wrist that we get throughout life,
No.
right? No. Like the feedback we get when people talk to us about when we start talking about our dreams to people, and immediately people tell us, well, you might want to think about a backup plan, right? So it's little things like that over time, I think that Kanye West did not hold on to.
Yeah, because you have that one. He had that one person and his mom just supporting what he was doing,
Yeah, maybe
and
his mom
and
was a
all
filter for it.
yeah, and all it takes is one. And when you lose that filter, when you lose the lightning rod, essentially, you just strike where energy is filling you. And no, is it excusable? For some people, no. But you also have to understand that that's him.
Should he have
You
taken the
know,
mic from
Taylor
Taylor?
Swift. I mean, no, only because as me and you talk about all the time, like we know she great.
Yeah.
Like them recognizing or saying she's great don't really mean nothing. Like you don't have to tell people that Beyonce is great or that Beyonce should have won for this or Beyonce should have won for that. Like Beyonce wins, period.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, like, even with the extras and stuff that I know that they get for that business deal and business transactions and stuff, like, and that's what, like, it's lightning rod. Like, it's stepping up from your
His
friend. I
statement was
respect
about
it.
black music more so than it
Yeah.
was Beyonce, for sure.
And I respect it. But at the same time, it's like, I remember us having a conversation about that, like a
Yeah.
couple years, or I feel like we were just talking on the phone about it, and I was saying like,
Yeah. It may
matter
have
of
been
fact,
early on the podcast because we talked about Kanye before. We brought that up.
it was on the phone one time because it was when you were telling me that you were a part of the Grammy stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And like it was like yearly, me and you would have a conversation about how I want to be on the Grammy, so on and so forth. And the conversation we ended up having was why. And I said, well, I want blah 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 blah. And then as time went on and all of this stuff started happening, that all these people kept losing, and you had the Macklemore, Kendrick Lamar thing. You had all these different things. We started both to sit and be like, well, what is it that I'm asking for?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I didn't really agree with. Like, even when he was, doing the thing with Sway, I understood his point of like, I'm trying to reach a level that we do not yet have. They don't give us that respect. And I can understand the frustration.
His frustration is that traditionally and historically, like white people that have these, or if we're just talking about the fashion industry, the fashion industry is very closed off to a specific group of people. And most of those people are like Italian or different ethnicities and cultures. And what happens is they don't use their own money to fund these things. Because if they did, they'd go broke. One wrong move and you're over. They have investments from their community. And what he's saying is that if he had more investments from his community or from a community, then he would be able to produce these sort of things that he wants to produce.
Right.
And
like
you can't blame him for that. Like,
no, you see what he's doing at Adidas. Nike didn't want to give him nothing.
No, like distribution. I think people just don't understand how costly it is to distribute a product to the world. Even though the internet exists, it still costs a lot to produce that product from start to finish.
These people, I think people also, you give so much clout to brands without giving some sort of stability to your own.
Yeah, maybe we're so far away from the process of making things that we don't know that it costs a lot.
So on that end, Kanye does controversy for the fuck of it, just to get that out there. Like, and sometimes it's emotional. But what I wanted to get to today was what spurred this conversation is Kanye has always pushed the needle. Either you get the album later on with like 808s and Heartbreaks. I didn't get the album until I started thinking about my breakup at the time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. Like I couldn't see it. I couldn't hear it. I just thought it was like weird that he wasn't rapping and doing all this singing. Like, what is this? But then when I got it, same thing like with the other albums, like whether it's Late Registration or whatever, like finally getting to listen to it and sitting and digesting the topics and seeing the way he's like orchestrated all these beats and stuff and realizing two different things. One, his production skill is completely connected to his true creative self. And two, that everything he does, he's doing to push himself forward and push everything forward.
Yeah. And so what's the theory? What's the theory is the next Kanye West album, what is it going to sound like?
I feel like, and I've espoused this, that we'll know how the next Kanye album is going to sound by how he produces all of the albums that are going to come out from Good before his album. At least one of them is going to come out before his album.
If they do.
Well, if they do. Good point. Good point. We did talk about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that part. Yeah, like
let's talk about this.
Hypothetically, like these albums come out, Tiana Taylor,
Pusha, Sci-Hi. I think he's doing one with Sean.
Yeah. And,
I mean, if
I take that back because the president now of good music is Pusha. So there's a chance that Pusha will push these albums out and sort of kind of as the administrator of the business force Kanye to produce this work.
now, what I think is, so My Name Is My Name was a great album. It was Pusha. It was Fear God 1 and 2 Pusha. But I think, and even No Dope on Sundays is a amazing album. But I think if Kanye gets back into a late registration, modernized bag, that it's going to break artists in a way that puts them on the Rihanna level. Like Pusha T in terms of lyricism on a rapper level, we salute him, we put him up there. But mainstream people don't really, get it the way we've gotten it for years. Same
Yeah,
thing with
that's because Pusha T or just the Clips in general has never been a group that you would put on the Super Bowl stage.
Right. And they've had, even though you should have, because the first song that they ever did, fun fact, was with Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake's first solo song was with the Clips and their first debut song before they dropped Lord Willing.
Yeah.
And
well,
when
they had an album before that. Nobody knows. Nobody knows about that album.
I mean, you get Pharrell around, and that's another guy we'll have to talk about one of these days.
Yeah, it's a different story.
But Kanye, what I think he's gonna do, and I gave you this theory the other day. I think that he's gonna. I think Miss Taylor's album is going to be similar to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which she did do a flip on in a mixtape.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to have that kind of feel because of how he does his beats. And the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was a soulful telling of just life. Like I used to love him came on the other day, and it's one of my sister's favorite songs or whatever. And I listened to that song, and it sounds like a hymnal. It sounds like a spiritual, but not in a way that like. And she's in certain parts of it, praising and doing spiritual things. Yeah. I think that Kanye has that capacity only because of me listening to John Legend's first album, which I don't know if he executive produced or not, but I know he had a hand in it. And
I think
the song
EP'd that album.
Yeah.
From the credits.
Matter of fact, I think he EP'd his first 2 albums. It was well, actually, no, he did his first album, and then he did a song with Jamie Foxx, that Late Night Extravaganza.
Yeah.
That I don't think actually came out anywhere other than just being a single. But anyway, this needs to hear that. The point I'm making was the way he did that album and the way he was doing albums then was like the cookout. And it felt like the cookout. It felt like you haven't seen your family in a long time. You're sitting down. You're having a conversation with them about how school's going. You're having a conversation with them about your job. And the family is basically different versions of yourself. It's your self-esteem. It's where you are in a relationship. It's the heartbeat of who you are. And he presents that when he produces.
Do we need a Lauryn type album right now?
Yeah, for me, yeah. Only because
would it even sound the same? Because Lauryn Hill's album was done practically in an attic,
Right.
Wyclef and Salam Remy.
What I think is not so much that it's gonna sound like exactly like it, but I feel like it's gonna have that energy only because of how talented she is. And it's a vocal thing that I hear. And it's like, so there's this strength in her voice that allows her to go to so many different levels. So Lauren would have a song where she's just doing a whole lot of runs, but in the background, there's this orchestrated, controlled, soft chorus that works with this while she's melodically doing whatever. Like and Kanye is very cognizant of those things when he orchestrates certain songs. Like he did it on Used to Love You for John Legend, and all the songs on that album. It just, like I said, it has that cookout feel. So I feel like while it'll be more modernized, it'll be more, cold summer, honest depictions of emotions, because she's just real. She's just honest. And when he works with those type of people, because like if you go back and listen to John Legend's album, a lot of people will probably think it's not as, you think it's just kind of fluffy because of the songs you hear. Like you'll hear Ordinary People or something like that, but you don't hear the song where he's literally like, he made a song about just being drunk.
I miss Kanye West collaborating with random people. The song that he produced for Keisha Cole, like that was my favorite song on the album. Like, you know what I mean? When he would reach out to other people and give them a beat. Talib Kweli, arguably his greatest song is a Kanye produced track. Common, The People.
Common with The Corner.
The
Corner. Because I think he did The Corner right? too.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Like, and then the remix was, it's just,
yeah.
You're right. You are right. I forgot about that Kanye.
Right. So where are his, like, is he just too expensive? Like, why, like, where's the humility in his production?
I think he's ascended in himself. And he's ascended in a capitalistic way. We talk about this all the time. So the bigger you get, the further you get away from things you quote unquote used to do. Like it services the game for him to do that, which is why I think he feels and is about to do these albums with the people that he likes, because he has disconnected from that in a certain way. So I think he is trying to get back because maybe I'm wrong, because instead of collaborating outside of his projects, he kept the collaborations close to him. And so maybe it's just a matter of perspective, right? Because My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy was full of collaborations, the whole process, even Good Fridays. So it's not that he doesn't want to collaborate. It's just that most of the collaborations only stay on his album. Yeah, he's leveraging attention in that regard. Right. And I loved Good Fridays. Good Fridays, I think, was my favorite Kanye time. Because, man, I've talked about it. I love Don't Look Down. Don't Look Down is Jesus.
Yeah.
Or the CS.
CSR with Lupe.
CRS, Child Rebel.
CRS.
Child Rebel Soldier.
Yeah. What was the song they did?
Shit. I can't think of the name of it, but Lupe went off on that again.
I can't remember, but that should have been a group to this day. And
they were supposed to do the album. That's why they dropped the damn song.
Yeah.
It went on nobody's album.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad.
It wasn't on Pharrell's album, it wasn't on Lupe's, it wasn't on Kanye's.
Yeah.
Like,
so when I think about his what was I thinking about? I was thinking about collaborations.
And how he needed to kind of do that more.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Oh, okay. So here's my theory on why he doesn't let people run off with his beats, right? Because he'll do a few things here and there, like a Katy Perry joint or something of that nature, right? And he'll work with other people, but my theory on that is that they don't promote the song the way that he would promote the song if it was a collaboration. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves with collaborating with anybody. it's very important that when we collaborate, whether I'm asking you for something or not, that you promote what we worked on. Because that's the whole purpose of collaborating, right? Is that we both push this new product.
Right. We
And
worked on this
two is
together. Let's
better
do
than
this.
one when it comes to that regards. But 9 times out of 10, that does not happen. And so that makes me more reluctant to not collaborate.
I also think, like I said, that he just got to a point to where it didn't serve him as much. So there was a hunger. At
Yeah.
that point in time, it was like he could do no wrong. And then it
I
was
don't
like
know. I
we
don't know,
finally
because the
looked to you
service
for the
part,
change.
like all of his whole process is collaboration because he doesn't have a lot of time.
Right. But what I'm more so speaking to is back then, the hunger was I didn't have the time, but all the time I was using was not only working on my project, but then I'm saying, hey, take this. Hey, go with this. It was planting seeds for the way the industry is, and those seeds
Attention.
grew. Yeah, those
Attention.
seeds grew.
Right.
And when those seeds grew to where they grew, it's like, well, now I want to take my people or people that I like, I want to pick them, hand pick them because I have that power and put them to a certain place. And then it was like, well, I want to be on the level of this guy, and now I am.
Is
And you will
networking
respect me as
101.
such. Yeah, and it's like I don't have to go back and spend a whole summer making beats and giving it to everybody and making their singles pop. Like I can do what I want to do with the people I want to do it with. Like I can put Big Sean out, I can put another John Legend album out, I can, if I want to put a side hat album out, I can do this song with 2 Chainz and push that to a whole nother level. I can do this song on Blank Face with Schoolboy Q.
Yeah.
Out of
And
nowhere. And it's
he's
just
done 2 songs with Paul McCartney. So
right. It's I can a couple years prior to that, I can do this song with T.JAY and Jay-Z and go. Like he can go and I can go to that bag because I want to, not because I have to. And that's like the ascension part. And it's a difficult thing because when you had to, it was more beautiful because I'm not trying to make you look bad. I want to make myself look good by making you look good, and then we look good, and then it's all good.
it's a different part in the process. It's a different type of, there's more reasons than just me getting on that I need this. I need this for
Right.
the income. I need this for the popularity so I can achieve the goals that I want. Because without attention, I'm not going to be able to get the income that I need for it. I want to do all these huge things, and music is just my marketing plan for all these bigger things.
And I also want to be transcendent. Like I want everything that I touch to just continue to grow. So like if you notice, like Keisha Cole, up down in general. But like the incline when he was doing the song with Keisha Cole, when he did that song with Brandy, when he was doing, the song I think with Carrie Hilson, in all of these different places in the pop world that he was popping up, those people were up next in terms of how you looked at them, how you viewed them when you heard these songs, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't just be looking for Kanye because of how Kanye orchestrates things.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was another point that I wanted to make that he also did. Kanye also, in his style, brought light to the other people that were doing the same things. Just Blaze was already a great producer.
Uh-huh.
Kanye took off, he made Just Blaze sound even greater because now you can recognize and hear what these guys have been doing for years. Whether it was just Ninth, and I think that there was a certain level of respect for him. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying that people didn't notice, but I'm saying like I remember
they worked on the same album.
Yeah.
And they competed for space on that album.
And I remember
and
like
still sharp and still. So he pushed him forward by being his competitor.
Right. And like him shining and getting up there, shine the light on these people that were already great. Like, and great. Because if you heard a sample, like somehow Kanye made it easier to tell whose samples was whose, in my mind, for at least for me.
Yeah.
Because I remember like being able to hear his sound, being able to hear Justice sound, being able to hear Ninth sound, being able to hear Alchemist, being able to hear, oh, speaking of that, the stuff he did with Dilated Peoples.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
avenue of something that he did that
His,
was
you
like,
know,
yeah,
I don't know, his partnership with JD, his, you know,
right, yeah. He illuminated Slum Village for me.
yeah.
You know, like even though that was Dilla,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that whole style of that Kanye did, like made
Because he
me
rapped
it
on there. So, yeah.
it
Yeah.
made you seek and search and look for the thing, and you got to see the Swiss Army knife of people that now had all of this at their disposal.
Yeah.
And it was like beautiful because he is a light, period. Like whether you hate him, whether you love him, you're going to pay attention. And that's been the case since he stepped on the scene. Like you said, when he made the choice to take this thing that they were already talking about, that probably would have killed so many other people's career, because other people would have been like, man, I can't talk. I can't do it. I can't do this. And he
Yeah.
did it anyway. And not only did it great and made it into something amazing. And,
Little
you
brother.
know, yeah, little brother.
Them.
Yeah,
Like
like the
he had a huge, well,
Rhyme
he
Fest.
has a huge impact on a lot of black culture
Right.
because he's one of those people that can work with anybody. So he can float in any circle, right? So it begs me to think is that who's next? Who would be a next Kanye West, right?
Ooh.
The J. Cole's, you know what I mean? Like,
Um,
who shows that type of, I don't know. I don't know if anybody talks like that in the interview.
I
And I
don't
don't
think
know if
any.
there could be a next Kanye West if there's currently a Kanye West, because obviously Kanye West would overshadow a next Kanye West.
I think there can be, but I don't know where it is, because you have a lot of people that are producing their own music. But the thing that they're getting to is like whether you're talking about Crit, Cole, or whoever, we love their production on certain things. But then people, the problem is of being with their level of greatness or whatever. Most people end up saying, well, you should really work with this and take this off of your plate so you can be better at this. So
Yeah.
you can spit better or do better. Like they kind of make it seem like they can't. And it seems like a lot of time their best albums end up being the ones where they didn't, where they
Yeah.
just kind of produce and master. So it's kind of, it separates them from, like, you know, Kanye does do the collaboration. So I'm not saying that he don't work with people, but it's still Kanye tinking and twerking and
Yeah.
changing this and this, that, and the third.
Do we expect to hear the old Kanye on
On the
this
next
new
album,
album?
no. I expect to
And will it
hear
be out in 2018? You know?
I want to say no, but I want to say whenever we do hear Kanye, it's going to be an angry Kanye. I want to say that this angry Kanye is going to do just, he's going to get back in his bag, but he's not going back in the past. Like whatever he does is going to be something where you sit there and you're like, okay,
We should have known.
okay. Like that should have
Like
been,
that's the one thing that we
should have
said
known.
that we would not touch. And he
Right.
did it.
And like ripped it open. And not only like, it'll be something that like with Life of Pablo that you sit back and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to end on the greatest thing that Kanye ever gave to me. And that, my friends,
Is Loot
is
Crate?
Touch the
No, I was
Sky.
kidding. I was like,
I
is
wish.
this a product placement?
Well, I mean, it could have
No,
been, but
no.
also he did give me something with a Lou in it. Lou Baby Esco, everybody. Like he was already doing the Fahrenheit mixtapes at that point in time, but him doing the Touch the Sky, like while Lupe was with Atlantic, did wonders in a sense because when I got to Tougaloo College in 2006 or late 2006, that came young Dro came to our college one time, chilled in the cab, took pictures and stuff. Got a picture on my Facebook of me with him back in my younger years. They also gave us a Touch the Sky mixtape. And it was a culmination of all of Lupe's Fahrenheit mixtapes with Touch the Sky on it.
Could that have been a
Because of how
Jay-Z
big Touch the
thing
Sky
since
was.
Jay-Z executive produced that album?
Yep. Also could have been that.
Not Touch the Sky, not the album, not Late Registration, but like because he produced
Food and Liquor.
Lupe's album. So he's sort of like orchestrating things in the background. He knows Lupe needs a bump. He knows that they kind of fit into the same niche, or the same audience. And then, you trade collaborations, right?
I think it's more Lupe. Only honestly because of how long I've been listening to him. I think that it was a culmination of where he is, the fact that they're both from Chicago. I think that he probably already had a relationship given the places that he was running around and the people that he was connected to. Yeah. And just in general, how powerful his family is in terms of the things that he was exposed to and experienced. I think it was Jay-Z. I think it was Lupe being who he was and the fact that he had a name in the city. Like, I think that I'm almost positive Kanye knew of him. And I think that the solidification was what you're saying in like the Jay-Z kind of conversation of let's try and do this because it is. Because then when they did it, because, they've done other songs together and just, they got love and stuff for each other in the same way that every artist from Chicago seems to. Like, I remember the Lupe Rhyme Fest Kanye thing was like they were the rhymers of everything. And also that's another thing that I think artists have to like not quit on. Like I miss this artist presents this. Like I miss that because it was so cool to. So like Kanye and Rhyme Fest, like we were talking about, like all these artists that he was kind of like bringing out when they were like before Consequence, was flipping out and all this other stuff. But that whole movement in terms of he had kind of started of like you knew that this was a like you knew this was a Kanye
new
production.
Life.
Right.
My thing is, I believe that a lot of the times that hurts an artist.
True. And we talked about that because a lot of them didn't do much. Like when you got to your second album, it's like, oh, this is my album that I want to do. Majority of those people didn't really succeed in the way that they should because people were just expecting more that them on a Kanye sound, which is also the kind of problem with the push for people to do albums with certain producers. And them coming up lackluster is because they're not creating in a space where they're just creating, they're money grabbing versus, hey, I'm doing these kind of beats because they fit you.
Yeah, the audience will listen for Kanye West and not for this, especially if he's only on one single, right?
Right. But yeah, so just to kind of wrap that up in a bow, in a sense, he is honestly a trailblazer, and it's so difficult to do that with everything that he's trying to do. Like, to still be in a situation where people can say, the Kardashians ruined them or whatever they want to say, or they didn't got to him, all this other stuff, right? Like, he been with her with singles out that are hot. He was with her with Life of Pablo. and that's
Yeah.
still, a great album. Um, he was on the tail end in My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but well, he was still with Amber at that point, but um,
I think
he
uh,
go ahead.
on the Kardashian point, I think people don't know how intelligent that family is. But that's just a side note. All right,
Well, I
that'd be
mean,
another
no, because
conversation. But
I can both
the
that
reason why I
because if
say
you
that
look, go ahead.
the reason why I say that is because oftentimes to be accepted in pop culture, you have to pretend not to be intelligent, right? So if you come off
Right.
as I don't care, right? The kind of, kind of fly by night sort of thought process, right? Or the um I'm just cool with whatever. You know what I mean? I just go with it. Go with the flow, or I don't know much, or I don't know anything. 9 times out of 10, that's not going to turn people off from liking you. That's going
Right.
to
No,
make
like
you.
most people end up with them, just like I said in this situation. We are addicted to stupid things. And I mean that in the sense that whether it's the Kardashians, whether it's Honey Boo Boo, whether it's John and Kate plus 8, we're addicted to the drama. It starts off by being mystified. You didn't have to watch or pay attention to a family that quote unquote got famous because of a sex tape with an R&B artist that wasn't nobody really checking for.
Mm-hmm.
But you did. You not only checked for it, you allowed them because they wanted to, because they're smart. Like, you're gonna try and talk crazy to us for this. We finna get money off of this.
Yeah, they
Like, you
flipped
thought
it.
this was gonna happen. Like, let's flip this. Like, because you want me to be shamed into a corner of not existing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna do that.
Well, I
And
believe I
now what I'm
believe it
gonna
was
do is
leaked by
show you stuff.
somebody, and she really didn't want it to come out. Cause
Oh, facts.
nothing
Facts.
about
Like, yes, facts.
I don't know. I maybe I know too much about the Kardashian backstory than most people would give, to would like admit to. But like, I don't know. I think she's a lot smarter than that.
Right. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got to think about, like, what did that actually do? It allowed her to claim her power. Like, at that point in time, like look at
Just
leaked
attention,
videos
really.
now. She changed the dynamic for leaked videos. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Leaked videos used to be you over with, dog. Like, because I can't unsee this in a certain way. Like, depending upon what the leaked video was. Like, it used to have to be something that they like avoid and not talk about.
Yeah. Well, even hip hop is changing the terminology for what a motto is, and started that trend.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't, I'm not saying that Kim Kardashian is the point for that, but that body type is not
Yeah.
traditional model body type, and so as soon as hip hop started to integrate into pop culture, now the term model is no longer I have to starve myself and be anorexic and take photos and be 5'8", 5'9", and be a white girl.
Right. I can be whatever I want to be. And again, this is the thing that I think that we can bring it back to the Kanye conversation
Yeah,
is
that's
more
what I was
so
headed back to. Is like I
he's
think part of it is
a
controversy anyway. So
yeah, and
why
that's
not
like
be with the person that you like and has a lot of attention?
and that has kind of been there throughout everything, but just was again like they probably not even probably they assuredly always wanted to be together. But the thing was, they were both making moves. Like you were saying, she was being smart and making the moves that she was making.
Yeah,
Like, and that's why you have the whole trail of, he was talking to her with Reggie Bush and all that other stuff that happened.
yeah.
Um, because there was a purpose. And it's crazy, it's messed up on some levels for certain people, but people think more than you think they don't. Like
yeah,
if
and
I can
people also
slip,
don't know what's going on behind the scenes either. So like,
yeah,
really,
like if I slip, like it's fine. Like all the slips that they've had have not stopped anything. All of the so-called claims have not stopped anything. They keep moving forward. Anybody that comes into contact with them, whether you hate them, like them, think somebody brought them down, it keeps moving forward. So all in all, I just think that Kanye is just going to continue moving forward the needle. What I want you guys to do, because I know that you enjoy this conversation a whole lot, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so you can be notified every time that we drop some dope content. Leave
the
some
link is
comments.
in the description, by the way. So if you're watching
It
this
is.
on Facebook, you can click the link now. And if you're checking this out anywhere else, the button is right there in the description for you.
Right there in the description. Do that. If you're using iTunes, make sure you rate us and give a review. That helps us with our discovery, so on and so forth. And just interact with us, because we're going to keep interacting with you, because we do this service for you. We don't just come on here to have a conversation about anything. Like we do that on the phone.
Well, we do have this conversation about anything. That's a part of the tagline.
We have it about everything.
Everything. Right.
But the anything part of it is for you guys. But yeah, like make sure you do that. Tell a friend, share it, because I know, you like Kanye too. So share it, get it out there. Knowledge is for understanding, and it's not to prove others wrong. This is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast with your boy Icarus Gray.
And your homeboy Wordplay T.JAY.
And we'll see you guys in 2018.
Peace.
No Rhyme or Reason is an On the Map music group production.